Good morning, children. Children, you must be thinking that why ma'am has started out of the blue a new chapter she's showing, because previously we had decided that we will be doing evolution. But what has happened next is now the CBSE has also declared their syllabus, the slashed syllabus, and that syllabus has very less uh, content from the evolution chapter, so quite possible that our board also removes that chapters. So that content actually, or and although I had made videos for the evidences of evolution, but as of now, because I am not teaching that, because I'll wait for any further developments from our board. So in case they slash it down, that all the efforts of yours and mine would go wasted. So I refer to the syllabus that has been slashed by CBSE. Okay, so if I talk about this, I have right you on the screen. You can see Unit 1, the 4 chapters of Unit 1, children. Now, if I talk about the 4 chapters of Unit 1, reproduction in animals, sexual reproduction in flowering plants, human reproduction and reproductive health. Now, from that first chapter, our board has slashed many things. It was a very general topic, and our board has slashed many things from reproduction in animals also. But when I refer to the CBSE syllabus, children, the CBSE has removed the entire chapter. So again, I am not starting with reproduction in animals. Quite possible if our board reconsiders slashing down of the syllabus, it may remove this chapter, because this chapter is a very general chapter. So I will start with sexual reproduction in flowering plants, children. This chapter is an important chapter, and here also at least half of the chapter has already been deleted. The content, half of the content has already been deleted by our board, SISKI. Okay, so let's start with sexual reproduction in flowering plants. So I will proceed in this way, and by the time I think I will finish with sexual reproduction in flowering plants and human reproduction, I think the conditions will become more clear. So let's start with this chapter, sexual reproduction in flowering plants. Now, if I talk about sexual reproduction in flowering plants, children, so we start this chapter. And see on the slide, you can see parts of the flower. We have already done flower in class 11th. We did all the practicals of the flower, all the 4 flowers we had done. Do you remember the 4 whorls of the flower? Calyx, corolla, androecium, and gynoecium. Now, if you see this LS of the flower, in this LS of the flower, I am starting from below. It has a pedicel. Pedicel means the stalk with which the flower is attached. Then comes receptacle. Although the receptacle here is not up to the mark, it should have been swollen, but somehow I couldn't get a better diagram than this. Then comes sepals. Sepals is a common term for calyx. It's green in color. Then you can see petals. How many petals? You can see around 1 full petal and 2 half petals they have shown. Then you can see stamens over there. Stamen means we are talking about androecium, and you know that androecium is the male part of the flower. So stamen has 2 parts, anther and filament. And now a very small note, a new thing, that the anther and the filament, they are joined together by a very small part, and that small part is called connective. It's a sterile tissue. So you can imagine you have got a filament in your hand and you have got an anther in another hand, and you want to join both of them. So for that you need a fevistick. So what you do is you apply a little bit of fevistick on the tip of the filament so that the anther can join. That fevistick which God has used to join anther and filament is called connective. I hope the concept is clear. Then let's come to the other side of the screen. Then this has the third part of the fourth part is, so we did calyx, corolla, androecium, that has stamen. Stamen has anther and filament. Anther and filament, they are joined together by connective. Then let's come to the fourth part, pistil. Pistil is a common term for gynoecium children or carpel. Pistil is also known as carpel, C-A-R-P-E-L. Okay. Now this pistil or gynoecium has three parts. You can see ovary, style and stigma. So stigma is that part of the flower which receives the pollen grain. Style is the part that connects the stigma to ovary. And inside the ovary you can see a straight line, children. We have already done this in practicals. That straight line is actually the placenta, and on the two sides of the placenta you can see ovules attached to it. Okay, then come to the next part. So I hope the revision of this flower is up to the mark. We have already done all this in class 11th. Now let's move to the new terminologies of the flower. Now children, for this chapter we will not use those terms, that old terms, calyx, corolla, androecium, gynoecium, then ovule and all these things. So we have a new terminology, and this is the way these terms children will be using, and the board will also ask the questions on the basis of these terms only. So let's start with the first. See the first term. Now we will not use the word carpel, children. For carpel we use the word megasporophyll. Okay, so wherever the word megasporophyll we are using, that means we are talking about carpel or pistil or gynoecium. Then comes ovule. Now you'll never come across the word ovule. You may come, but generally the another term for ovule is megasporangium. I hope you remember the word sporangium. We did it in class 11th also. Okay. Then embryo sac. Now embryo sac is that part of the gynoecium ovary which has egg cell. Do you remember all these parts? Egg cell, antipodals and secondary nucleus. You did it in class 9th. We'll be doing it in detail here also. Embryo sac. So embryo sac is called female gametophyte. Now again, do you remember we did something called gametophyte and sporophyte? So it is something like that. Then comes egg cell. Now egg cell is the female gamete. That is a very generalized term. Then is stamen. The stamen is called microsporophyll. Now see, carpel was called megasporophyll and stamen is called microsporophyll. Then the anther. Now this anther has got pollen sacs. So this anther is called microsporangium. Now see, ovule was called megasporangium and anther is called microsporangium. Then comes pollen grain. The pollen grain is called microspore. Now this is a very new term for you all. So you'll have to make a habit of using these terms only. So no more using the word pollen grains. We'll use the word microspore. And pollen grain with pollen tube is called male gametophyte. Try to remember germination of pollen tube when you did it in class 9th once upon a time, if you are able to recollect. So when the pollen grain lands on the stigma and germinates to form a pollen tube, then that is called a male gametophyte, whereas embryo sac is called female gametophyte. Children, you will have to write down these terms. So either take a screenshot of this, or it's better that you write down these terms where you are writing the notes. Let's move to the next slide, children. Now this is because we are dealing with the chapter reproduction in plants, the calyx and corolla are not the essential whorls. They help in reproduction in another way, but they are not directly involved in reproduction. So the two parts of the whorls that are directly involved in reproduction are the stamen. That means we are talking about the androecium and we are talking about the gynoecium. Calyx and corolla are called non-essential parts of the flower. So let's do the structure. We'll have to study now androecium and gynoecium in detail. So if I talk about stamen, see, I have made a diagram of a stamen. Can you see the anther and the filament? And I told you, if you remember, previously, that anther and filament, it is joined by a sterile tissue, a very small tissue which is called connective. Now in the anther, can you see anther? We did the structure of anther in detail in class 11. You can see two lobes of the anther. Now these two lobes, what are these two lobes called? Diathecus. So I have shown you a diathecus anther, and in the second diagram, it's a very beautiful diagram. You can see they have cut the transverse section of anther, and you can see pollen sacs over there. Can you see pollen sacs over there? And inside the pollen sacs are present pollen grains. Are you getting? And can you see that small dot in between the four pollen grains? Pollen sacs, sorry. That is, children, the connective. So, if we studied in detail structure of stamen, the stamen has two parts, anther and filament. Inside the anther has got two anther lobes as shown in the diagram. It can have one anther lobe also, but we are taking a diathecus anther lobe because that is what is being depicted in the NCERT books also. So two anther lobes, that means we are talking about a diathecus anther, then stamen. Now inside each anther lobe are present two pollen chambers. You can see the pollen chambers or pollen sacs. Now if you remember, I told you the pollen chambers or pollen sacs are called microsporangium. Just see, anthers, inside the anther the pollen sacs are called microsporangium. So let's repeat it again. The stamen has got two parts, anther and filament. The anther has two anther lobes. Each anther lobe has two pollen chambers. So total you can see four microsporangium in the diagram also. And inside these microsporangium develops pollen grains. And if you remember, I told you the new term for pollen grain is microspore. Now let's come to the next part. The next part is, children, the structure of microsporangium. Now what is a microsporangium? I told you, anther. Now this is the diagram, children, which is from the NCERT. And it is there in your book also. So, see the third diagram, children. This third diagram, can you see? This is how anther looks like when it is releasing the pollen grains. Can you see the pollen grains coming out? Okay. Now that opening through which the pollen grain comes out is called stomium. So just mark down in your book where the diagram is given, or write or scribble somewhere that the opening through which the pollen grains are released is called stomium. Children, this diagram comes for drawing. So you need to learn these terms. This is missing in the diagram and this is missing even in your book also. So always I make the children write down all these things, you know. So then can you see the stomium is guarded by two pink colored cells? Can you see those coiled pink colored cells? These two cells, children, they are called bulliform cells. Bulliform cells, Bulliform. Children, please write it down. The stomium is guarded by bulliform cells. Now these bulliform cells, children, it helps in the dehiscence of the pollen grains. The pollen sacs. Now you can see very clearly on each side of the anther, you can see the two pollen sacs or microsporangium. Can you see? And the inside these two, and because it is a mature anther, children, so the two pollen sacs, they are merged together and they have formed a single pollen sac. But you can see it's evident that there are two pollen sacs. And from that pollen sacs, lot of pollen grains are there and these pollen grains are coming out. Are you getting the point? Now let's come to diagram A. You can see diagram A, the connective is shown over there. Can you see? The you can see the 4 pollen sacs over there. Now there's a term called sporogenous tissue, children. Can you see the term for the sporogenous tissue? Now sporogenous tissue is the tissue which is filled inside the pollen sacs when the anther is young. What will it do? That I'll tell you later on. Okay. Now just seeing the structure of the diagram on figure A, now try to correlate it with figure B. See, children, can you see, can you spot out where is the connective? Just above the notch. Okay, now let's study the structure of the diagram B in detail. Okay, now this is the structure of microsporangium, children. Now the microsporangium, children, it has got 4 walls, 4 layers. Can you see the outermost layer, children? This outermost layer is called epidermis. It's a single layered structure. This is the wall of the anther I'm talking about. Okay, so the wall of the anther has 4 layers. That is, the outermost layer is epidermis. Then below epidermis is present endothecium, children, a single layer of endothecium. Now what is the characteristic of endothecium, children? Endothecium is also called fibrous layer, and it has large columnar cells with fibrous thickenings on its inner side, and it helps in the dehiscence of anther and release of pollen grain. Can you see that? So it's a single layer. It has got large columnar cells. Then below the endothecium is present middle layers. Now these middle layers, there are 2 to 3 middle layers you can see, and these middle layers, actually the cells of these middle layers are short-lived and they degenerate at the time of formation of pollen grains. So this middle layers are there only to give strength till the anther is young. Then comes the innermost layer, children, and this innermost layer is called tapetum. Can you see that shaded layer? Children, this tapetum is a very important layer. It is the innermost layer and it has multinucleated cells. It's a very rare feature in plants, but it has multinucleated cells and it provides nourishment to the developing pollen grains. Children, it is a 1-mark question that comes in the board. What is the function of tapetum? And the mistake that you all do is that children very exciting, they get very excited the moment they see this question because they know it, and in that excitement they write it nourishes the pollen grains and you get a 0. Because the keyword we are looking for is developing pollen grains. So you'll have to write down developing pollen grains. Children, mark it down, the developing pollen grains. Then come to the next one. So again let me revise. Can we revise again? I told you we are doing androecium. Now this androecium has got stamen. Inside the stamen has 2 parts, anther and filament. Each anther, the anther has 2 anther lobes. Each anther lobe has 2 microsporangium, and inside each microsporangium are present many pollen grains. Then I told you the structure of anther or microsporangium. I told you the opening through which the pollen grains are released is called stomium, and this stomium is guarded by, actually stomium is the site of dehiscence. So they can ask you 1-word question or they can ask you in multiple choice question what is the site of dehiscence. So it is stomium, and this stomium is guarded by bulliform cells. Okay, and what are bulliform cells, children? Bulliform cells are modified thin-walled epidermal cells only. Okay, then I told you that in diagram A there is a term which is written sporogenous tissue. Sporogenous tissue is the tissue which is present in young anther. Okay, what will it do? I'll discuss it just now. Then we come to the detailed structure of anther. The anther has got 4 layers. The wall of the anther has got 4 layers. Outermost epidermis, inner is endothecium, then comes middle layer, then comes middle layer, 2 to 3 layers that are short lived, and they degenerate once the pollen grains are formed. And the innermost layer is tapetum. The tapetum has multinucleated cells. It is the innermost layer of the anther. It provides nourishment to the developing sperms. Now children, the tapetum has many functions. So the most important function I told you, it nourishes the developing pollen grains. Then it produces Ubis granule, UBISCH granules for forming exine. Exine is children the outermost layer of pollen grain. Then it secretes pollen kit so that they can be carried for pollination. Then it secretes special proteins for pollen grains to recognize the compatible stigma. So I can elaborate this point, children. See, the pollen grains, they are released in the air. Okay, try to remember pollination we have done. So the pollination can be through agencies. It can be air, it can be in wind, it can be insects, it can be animals. So what happens is, imagine a bee is visiting from one flower to another. It is doing cross pollination. So it may carry the pollen grain of, suppose, dahlia, and drops it on bougainvillea. So do you think that if the pollen grain of bougainvillea lands on dahlia or vice versa, will it germinate to form a pollen tube? No. So how will the stigma come to know that it has got the right pollen grain? It is because of a protein. We will be doing this in detail also. So this tapetum, it produces a special proteins so that the stigma can identify, okay, this is my pollen grain, this belongs to my family. So this pollen grain will be allowed to germinate. Okay, then come to the sporogenous tissue. I told you, in the sporogenous tissue, it is present inside the young. It is present inside the anther, and these sporogenous tissue, children, these forms the microspore mother cell. Are you getting the point? And this microspore mother cell undergoes meiosis to form microspores or pollen grains. Try to remember meiosis. It's reductional division. It forms 4 cells. So that means each microspore mother cell will form 4 pollen grains or microspores. So children, this diagram A and diagram B, it is very important. Diagram A can be asked in diagram based questions, children, and diagram B, A and B together, it can be asked for labeling also, or drawing also, sorry. So kindly practice these two diagrams. These two diagrams are there in your NCERT. All those who have got NCERT, they can open the NCERT and refer to these diagrams over there also. In the diagram, children, diagram C, just mark down 2 points. First is stomium is not given, and the second one is the bulliform cells, the pink colored cells that is guarding the opening of stomium.